it appears we know the problems, but there are no solutions to these problems. What could be the challenge that for so many years we've been able to identify these problems, but we are not getting the solutions to the problems?
And you make a very good point that the IPCC documents, they are amazing, actually. When you think about it, the collation of the sum total of knowledge about the state of our planet from research that's conducted over 5 or 6 years everywhere, brought together in one place, is an amazing achievement. The science is doing us a really good job right now to understand the problem that we have. And as you say, scientifically, there's no longer any debate. There has been no debate among scientists for 2 decades, more than that, but there cannot be any debate. It's so solid, multiple lines of independent evidence, all showing the same thing. And what we need now, of course, there are many more scientific things to do, and the science will never stop, because there's all sorts of things that we still don't fully appreciate about the climate system, although we know enough to know that changes ahead are looking bad. The science tells us that the way forward is to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions as quickly as we can to net zero, i.e. we emit the same amount that gets absorbed by the planet, either naturally or by us mechanically. And we need to do that really urgently, because if we don't do it, then we can look forward to what's called dangerous climate change. And we've seen the first signs of it. This year, we've seen awful heat waves in Southwest Canada and Northwest United States. Who thought the temperature in those places would get towards 50 degrees centigrade? Who ever thought that? That was crazy. Who would have thought that dozens of people would die in New York and in Germany and in Belgium because it rained? Right? This is extraordinary. And that's under climate change with 1.1 degrees of warming, because that's what we've warmed the planet by since 1850. The average temperature has gone up by about 1 degree centigrade. It will go up in the future. It will go up to 1.5. That's the minimum it will go up for. So all we've seen around the world, all these disasters, there's going to be more of those things. Can you imagine how bad it will be if temperatures get up to 3, 4, or 5 degrees of warming by the end of this century? It will be far, far worse than that. And of course, the science tells us exactly what's been happening. The climate change problem was predictable, and it was predicted. So all we've seen around the world, all these natural hazards and disasters, they were predicted under climate change. We knew it was happening, and yet the message fell on deaf ears. And so what we now need is for politicians and for businesses and for the public to understand this problem better and to get on board with the changes that are needed. And it affects everybody on the planet. We all need to do it. And we're seeing the first signs of that, actually. We're seeing some governments taking this on board. We're seeing greater public understanding of this problem, often through personal experience. And we're seeing many businesses now decide that their future has to be different to their past. Oil and gas companies simply cannot exist in 30 years' time in the way that they currently do. This
actually brings us back to the point of commitment. Now, if we see these countries lobbying behind the scenes to get certain things changed in the report, it becomes so worrying. For instance, if we read part of the report, it says that the leaked documents consist of more than 32,000 submissions made by governments, companies, and other interested parties to the team of scientists compiling a UN report designed to bring together the best scientific evidence on how to tackle climate change. Isn't it something that has to, challenge our level of commitment? Because if countries are fighting this behind the scenes, we should be worried.
Yes, we should. And because it's behind closed doors, we never see it surface. But be under no illusion, there are many vested interests at play. There are countries, companies, individuals that are making an awful lot of money out of the fossil fuel driven economy that we have at the moment. And there is a fear among those people and places that under a net zero transition, they'll be financially worse off. Now, every single government on the planet needs to engage with net zero, but it's very difficult to compete with vested individual interests. And what those people need to understand is that there's no fear for a net zero transition. There are many opportunities for their businesses, for their country, for us as individuals. Changes are coming, right? I think the way forward